favorite part of this show now. It's part 2 of NFL True or False and Why. We have 4 more questions today. And the first one, I'll let you go first here. Carson Wentz will be better on the Washington Commanders. True or false, and why?
So this question has some loadedness to it. I don't think Carson Wentz was bad last year, but he did lose the Colts some games. So I'm going to say false because I thought he was actually pretty good with the Colts. I don't think he will be better with the Commanders. I think he'll be about the same, if not slightly worse. He doesn't have the big running game to help him as much as he did in Indianapolis. So I don't know that he'll be better, but I don't think he's going to lose them the games that he did in Indianapolis. So it's a tough question for me, but I'm going to say false.
Terry McLaurin might be the best receiver he's had, if we're being fair. I can't think of really anybody else in Philadelphia or even Indianapolis that was that good or that healthy, for crying out loud. Right. I'm sour, okay? I'm salty. I'll say false in a different way, though, because I feel like Dan Orlovsky made a great point. Carson Wentz was supposed to resurrect his career in Indianapolis and did not. He still made the stupid plays. Why should we expect anything different now that he's in Washington in a dysfunctional organization at that?
I mean, I think he had like a 3-to-1 touchdown interception ratio with the Colts. That's a pretty good quarterback usually. People just remember the games that he lost, the way that he lost them.
The boneheaded plays were sickening.
Right, but if you look at the whole body of work, if you looked up his stats versus my guy's stats without any context, you would think he had a pretty good year. And I don't know that he's going to have a better year than that.
That's not good for Washington.
They're not going to win that division anyway.
I think Philadelphia and Dallas are going to be have a fun time.
Yeah, those two teams are pretty much leaps ahead of the other teams in that division.
Right. True or false, and why? Matt Ryan leads the Colts to 1 or more playoff wins. I'll go first here. 1,000% true. I'm hearing so many reports and teases from players and reporters in this OTAs that Matt Ryan is a very good quarterback still. But they're like, when you get out your break, you better be ready for that ball to hit you square in the hands. I was like, let's go. I never heard any hype like that. Even before Carson Wentz's season, I never heard any hype like that. But these guys really want Matt Ryan to do well. I told you guys Matt Ryan is not washed. He will be just fine. Simeon Aaron, he's a good quarterback. Borderline very good. He's a very good quarterback in my opinion. I watched him in Atlanta with dog crap around him perform very well. I think he wins. I think we can do an AFC Championship game.
So you should bet all of that because I think you'll make a lot of money and you'll probably be the only one. Because if you look at the offensive weapons he went from versus the offensive weapons he's going to, it's a severe downgrade. And now I'm not talking about the offensive line and Jonathan Taylor. I'm talking about his receiving core. Because you just said Carson Wentz hadn't had anybody to throw the ball to that was better than Terry McLaurin, but Matt Ryan did. Matt Ryan had better guys than Terry McLaurin, and he's now going down to what Carson Wentz had last year, which is worse, significantly worse. Also, let's be fair, the guy's aging. He's not his best, and when he was at his best, he had one really good year. And so he's not going to have his best year. He's not going to have probably even a good year compared to that year. So while I do think Indianapolis has a good team, I do think they can run the ball well. They have a good offensive line. They play good defense. Darius Leonard is a beast. I do think all those things are true. I don't know that Matt Ryan will be the piece that they need to make it through the playoff. But I'm going to say that they do win a playoff game. I'm going to say true they win a playoff game under his 2 years there. But I don't think they win more than one. I don't think they're even a real threat to get any further than out of the wild card game.
Whoa! Fact check time for Sammy Action. Hey, Sammy, how many games did Calvin Ridley play last year?
I want to say 3 or 4.
Oh, Kyle Pitts. I mean, name me what guys besides Kyle Pitts. I mean, we're going to say Zacchaeus is a great player?
No, I'm not saying that last year specifically, but over the course of his career, he's had much better receiving cores than Indianapolis has this year.
Right.
there was a guy, there was a guy named Julio who played for him for quite a long time, right? Like he was a pretty good receiver. And they had Julio and Calvin Ridley on the same team one year, if I'm not mistaken, when Julio was still pretty good. So they've had good running backs as well. I mean, Devonta Freeman was good. They went to Super Bowl with him. I mean, and so they've had weapons, and now they have less weapons. I don't really care for Indianapolis's receiving core. I don't see Matt Ryan putting up, 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns on this team. This is a running team. He's going to manage the game and pick up the occasional third down. I mean, this is a 3,500 yard, 20 touchdown guy, which if you look at it, is what Carson Wentz was, right? That's exactly what Carson Wentz was.
I'm gonna go with I'm gonna say he throws more touchdowns
than Carson Wentz did last year.
Yeah, I'm gonna say he throws the same amount of interceptions, but they're not gonna be stupid interceptions. Like they're gonna be they're not gonna be a left arm sling it from your back, all kind of stuff like that. So it'll be easier to deal with. I also think he'll throw for 500 more yards.
If you say so. I don't know that Atlanta was that terrible last year on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, I don't remember watching a lot of their games, but he had chances to win games late and didn't come through either. And Matt Ryan was a good quarterback. He wasn't a great quarterback, but he was a good quarterback in his prime. I don't think he's anywhere close to that anymore.
I disagree.
We'll see.
Okay. And I was so happy when he was traded to the Colts. That was just such an amazing thing for me.
I think they would have done better with Baker, and you know how I don't have any love for Baker.
But, oh, come on.
I think Baker would better fit, especially for the long term.
Because Baker did so well with running backs in Cleveland.
With the exception of Tom Brady, you know who's undefeated in football? Father Time. Matt Ryan is not young.
Oh my gosh. I cannot wait for the Crow Eaters on this show and on other shows. It's gonna be fantastic.
Maybe if Matt Ryan became a vampire like Tom Brady, he would play well for the next 5 years.
I'm good. The Lions will reach 5 wins. True or false, and why?
I'm gonna say true. They won 5 wins 2 years ago. They played tough all year last year. Second year under Dan Campbell, this team's got a lot of talent, especially in the second half of the year when they get their receiver back. I'm going to say true. I don't think winning 5 games in a 17-game season is that much of a benchmark anyway. But I think the Lions are better than people think.
I'm going to go true, but they might reach 6. That's what I'm going with here.
They won 3 last year. They tied a game. They played tough down the stretch. I don't know.
Agreed.
I don't think that division's all that tough. I mean, the
I
Bears.
Agree with that.
The Bears kind of stink. The Packers got a little bit worse. Minnesota's never really been great. I don't know. I feel like they can sneak out some wins here or there. I don't think their win total is that much higher than 5. I think it's like 6.5. But
really, is it 6.5?
I think it's 6.5. I don't remember. I can look it up, but
I'm going under.
Well, you just said they're going to win more than 5. So
well,
6.5.
Fine. I'm not going to 6.5. Give me a break. Vegas is selling me money right there. I'll take it. Thank you.
That there are places you can bet these things, Mike.
Thank you. Sending with the action. I'll go first here. Daniel Jones will keep his job for another season after this one. I'm going to go false and true. False because Daniel Jones will play well, but it will not be well enough to convince the new regime that he is the reason why they're going to keep their jobs going forward. So I'm going to say he gets exiled to somewhere else, but he plays well there as well, and shows that he's a good quarterback. I do believe he's not going to play out of this world next year, which I say will give pause for them to want to draft a Bryce Young or whatever. But I don't believe the new regime is going to have that much faith in him after only 1 season of playing around him, considering the Giants are allergic to staying healthy. So I will go with Daniel Jones will play good this year, not good enough, get exiled, but he'll be fine somewhere else.
And that's a very fair answer. I'm gonna say false.
Yeah.
If you consider that his job is starting quarterback, because I wouldn't be shocked if he gets benched halfway through this year, and then his job will turn into backup quarterback, and then I think the answer becomes true.
Oh,
Daniel Jones screams backup quarterback to me. He just isn't a guy I think that you can count on to win you games. He isn't great with his arm. He isn't great with his legs. He's okay with both. He reminds me of a guy who can come in relief, give your team a spark. He's a guy who can fill in for an injured quarterback and not suffer too much, but he's just not a guy who wins you games. And
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
yeah, right, exactly. So he's a lot like Ryan Fitzpatrick, a great example. And there are other guys like that too. I mean, he's going to have an NFL career. He's going to play for a few more years. I just if I was in a franchise, I wouldn't want him running my team. There's got to be somebody better than this.
Arch Manning. Woohoo!
I mean, you have, like you said, Bryce Young's coming out. There are other guys too. I mean, even the guy the Steelers drafted, right? I would much rather have that guy.
Oh, Kenny Pickett, really?
Yeah, because you know what? You don't. At least you don't know what you're getting with Kenny Pickett. I know what I'm getting with Daniel Jones, and it's not great.
I mean, he's faster than people think he is.
That's wonderful, but he doesn't
For
play
a white guy. You know, he's pretty fast.
I mean, he doesn't really play a position where he can utilize his speed too much. One of my favorite Daniel Jones plays is the play where he had a breakaway touchdown and tripped over the 20-yard line.
He still broke away, though.
He did break away. It's so Daniel Jones, though, for him to trip over the 20-yard line.
That was pretty good. Like, who put this here? Oh. Darn you, Sammy.